The Fate of Atlantis episode 3 is very close. It will release on July 16th and we now got some more extra info about what we can expect in this DLC thanks to an Inside the Studio interview with the game director of the Atlantis DLC, Hugo. So let's get into it. Would be awesome if you could leave a like on the video as it shows your support, and let's go. The Fate of Atlantis is of course all about the new mythical worlds that we can explore and the mythical creatures that live there. We only saw one mythical creature that we could fight so far, Cerberus. Of course, that is not really a spoiler because this was shown multiple times in the marketing material of the episodes. So what we now learned thanks to this Inside the Studio podcast that Ubisoft shared via Twitter is that Cerberus was actually cut from the main game early in the development. And the reason was that they did not have the time or money for it, according to Hugo. So in this DLC they could revisit these ideas and add them, and since they toyed around with Cerberus for the main game, they actually already had some concept art, and I think we know what they look like thanks to Jeff Simpson who put them online. He made them actually and noted that he was stoked to work on these, although not much of it was used. Was seen too creepy, at least that's what he thought. Well, happy that they could revisit this idea of course and that we could finally fight this creature in the second episode, because it would of course be such a shame if we could not fight Cerberus in Odyssey, and I really like the fight actually, so awesome that we got to do it. But there's more, because Hugo also notes that there's another mythical creature in this DLC, so in the third episode, that is totally on them, so on the Fate of Atlantis DLC team. Like, this was not based on any cut content or anything, so what they wanted to do with this mythical creature was to blow people's minds. And he did not want to spoil it, obviously, what that creature was in this podcast, but we already got an idea thanks to the hidden trophy on the PS4. I made a video on it already with a spoiler warning before it, because it's not a hidden trophy for nothing, obviously. If you want to know it though, if you're not on PS4, I don't want to spoil it here, but I will link to that video where I discuss it at the end of this one, so you can check it out if you haven't already. In the podcast, Hugo also notes that the third episode was his favorite episode to work on because it's an accumulation of all the work they did on the main game and also on the other Atlantis episodes in terms of making stories, building quests, and what choices they wanted to put in front of the players. He notes that it's a fitting conclusion to the design work that they have done over the course of the project. We of course know that this will be the final piece of at least paid DLC we will get for the game, so also the final work that they will really do, so it makes sense that they will apply most of the things they learned over the course of the development, and that should make this third episode the most exciting one, right? Also, with DLC in general, Hugo notes that you are focused on the content, since the tools that the developers use to make the game are already done after you ship the main game. So with this Fate of Atlantis DLC, they could just focus on making these new worlds and populate them with things to do. The thing he's the most proud of, by the way, is the amount of content that you get for this DLC. Like, especially if you bought the Season Pass or the Gold Edition of the game, then it was like $30, $40 or something. You got AC3 Remastered, the Legacy of the First Blade, and this Atlantis DLC that is clocking in at like 20 to 25 hours. And I'm impressed as well, like I did not expect that these episodes were so substantial, but they really are. So I can totally see why Hugo is really proud of achieving that, like giving a ton of new content for the price that you pay for. And it's quality content as well. I really enjoyed the first two episodes and I can't wait for the third one. And I got even more interested after a major tease Hugo did at the end of this Inside the Studio podcast. No spoilers of course, I would recommend to maybe not look at the comments as well. I know there are some leaks about this third episode already out there. Either way, what Hugo teased is that if you are a fan of the modern day part of Assassin's Creed, that you will be left with your mouth open by the time you get to the end of this third episode. So really teasing something major. It should push that modern day story forward in a way that players will never expect. Big words right there. According to Hugo, this should be a response to how they handled the modern day in the main game. He acknowledges that people weren't really happy with that, and that during the Odyssey development they had to make choices over the course of the production, and prioritize like things over others, it isn't because of the lack of love or desire, according to Hugo, just the lack of time. It has of course been pretty clear over the recent years that the present day or the modern day has been taking a back seat with comics resolving stories that started in a game, and to be honest, like the modern day things we saw in Odyssey and also in the Atlantis DLC were not really that interesting. Maybe the ending of the second episode. Okay, so I'm really curious like what this shocking thing will be, what will leave our mouth open at the end of this episode. Maybe it will set up the story that we will experience in the rumored Viking game that is set to launch next year, again according to rumors. So that will be one of the main reasons to look forward, of course, to this third episode. I'm mostly curious myself in the new world, the new weapons and armor and stories that we will experience in Atlantis. I might be able to showcase you some of that before the July 16th release. Keep an eye out on the channel, subscribe for everything Odyssey and Assassin's Creed in the future. Before that, I actually got a really interesting video about what the sort of Ubisoft Quebec future for Assassin's Creed will look like. My theory. It's a pretty cool one. You will see that really soon on the channel, so keep an eye out for that. For now though, I will speak to you next time. Like this video to support the channel. Check out my video on the Atlantis trophies that were revealed, including the hidden one that reveals the new mythical creature. And I will of course speak to you next time. Goodbye!